All right, everybody, what are we talking about today? Well, you see the PMEQ sitting here, right? So I've already done a few videos on this. So what could we have to talk about? Well, I've had a few conversations recently because these don't necessarily come with an instruction manual, right? So it's kind of up to you to figure out how to dial this thing in. What do all these numbers on here mean, etc., etc.? A lot of people don't know that. So what I'll do first is I've got some terribly played Metallica riffs recorded in my looper. So I'm going to play those a little bit with this off and then with it on. And then we'll get into dialing it in. So without further ado, let me get you guys plugged in here. Give me just a moment. You obviously have an idea, and you probably did before the video started, of what this pedal does exactly, which is modify some frequencies. So when the light's on, that means it's on. So we're talking left to right here. So this is obviously low frequency. Sounds pretty straightforward, right? But what do all these numbers mean? These numbers correspond to frequencies, right? So this is going to be 22 hertz, 75 hertz. What is that? 280, hard to read. And 300, 500 hertz, right? So that is the hertz readings for these. And then this, all you see is a 0 and a 12, and there's nothing in between. Well, what is that? So this pedal was made to mirror the EQF2 when used by Metallica on Master of Puppets. So what they did with the low frequencies is they boosted it. So this is a decibel boost from 0 to 12 decibels, right? So we're a little bit past noon, so we can figure we're probably at about 7 decibels. So then if you look over to mids, it's the same thing, just different frequency ranges because it's mid frequencies, right? So you've got, what is that? And I'm behind the camera with the light. So what, 250-ish? And then we've got 1.4K hertz. So that's basically 1400 hertz, 2200 hertz, and 5K hertz, right? So then you can move in between those frequencies, and this one is the opposite. So this one is actually a cut. So this is a cut from 0 to 12 decibels. So obviously we're at almost 9 o'clock. So what would that be? So 6 would be here. So it'd probably, or we're at 3 o'clock. So that'd probably be about 9 on the cut, right? 9 dB cut for roughly 1.2K hertz. And that's according to Fleming Rasmussen's notes. Obviously, every amp will be different, so you may want to dial it into ear, right? Then you've got your high frequency up here, and this is the same thing, just different frequency ranges. Looks like it goes from 1K hertz all the way to 20K hertz. And then you see up here, 0 to 12, same thing. So we're at roughly, 1 o'clock, so that's going to be probably about 7 dB of boost. So this is a boost as well on the high. So it acts like they were using the EQF2 for Metallica Master of Puppets album, right? So what does that really mean? That means that you have to find the frequencies that you want to boost, cut, and boost. So according to Fleming Rasmussen's notes on most of the Metallica albums, you're going to find that on the low side, they're going to try to boost around 120 hertz. You're going to find they're going to cut around 1.2K hertz or 1200 hertz, right? And then you're going to find that they boost, I think it's around 4.2K hertz, so 4200 hertz. They're boosting that, right? So let's check it out, and I'll start turning some knobs so you can see what these things actually mean. And I'm going to do this one just in the room on this, because on the first one was on the mic, so you can see how it differs, right? I know the iPhone is going to compress that sound, so it's going to probably sound a little quiet, right? So you can see how the low works. You change your frequency, it changes the response of your EQ, which obviously this is a parametric EQ, so not surprising. So now let's take a look at the mids. I'm going to do the same thing in the room just to make it easier for everybody. All right, so you can see how the mids seemed a lot more dramatic. Obviously, that's because we hear mids a lot better than we hear lows. You know, low frequencies to us is typically more of that kind of thud that you hear in the low end, whereas mid frequencies our ears hear. So it sounded like you're kind of going through like a tunnel, or if you had a phaser or flanger on, et cetera, et cetera. The highs are going to be kind of similar, but at a certain point, you know, especially depending on how old you are, you may not be able to even hear some of these changes. So let's check this one out. This will be in the room as well. So you can hear, obviously, or not, depending on what your ears are like. I know once I got up to, you know, right about here, this didn't make much of a difference to me, you know. But to some of you that are younger, it probably will make a difference. And if you have any questions about that, there are videos you can watch on YouTube that kind of will give you an idea of if your hearing is messed up beyond people your age or not, right? I won't link any of those. You can find them yourself. But now let's do the same thing on the mic just so that you can get an idea of what it sounds like on the mic. All right, y'all. Sorry for the kind of long video. I didn't, I guess, figure out a way to do this better. This seemed to be about the best way I can do it. Hopefully it turned out okay. Hopefully it gives you an idea of how this thing works and what all these little numbers mean and all that kind of stuff. Feel free to hit me up down in the comment section with any further questions. Obviously you can see, how each one of these is completely different and how they shape your tone. And you can see, like, when you turn it, just listen based on what you think sounds good. These numbers don't necessarily mean those are the exact frequencies. It gives you a ballpark, and then you just kind of tune it to your ear, right? If you like my content, please comment. Definitely comment down there, guys. Like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.